I once told a woman that I coined the phrase, pardon my French, because we watched Season 8, Episode 2, The Soulmate. So, Katy.
Hello.
How are you?
I've been better.
How'd you like The Soulmate?
I think I liked this episode.
Oh, interesting. You looked over at me at one point with derision in your eyes.
The part with the madcap chase between Jerry and Newman, yes.
Yeah. You didn't like that?
No.
So this episode had kind of two homages in it. It had obviously the homage to Cyrano de Bergerac with
Obviously.
Kramer and Newman, right?
What? You have to explain.
Well, I thought that was obvious, so I was just going to throw that away. I guess we can talk about that later. So, you know, references to classic French literature, and then this comical chase, which was a homage to Bugs Bunny cartoons.
I mean, yeah, literally, but why? Why?
Bugs Bunny's funny.
I wholeheartedly agree, but why? Why is it needed here?
The Soulmate was written by Peter Melman. It was directed by Andy Ackerman. It aired on September 26th, 1996. Vulture.com ranked it as the 52nd best episode. Screen Crush had it at 127th. IMDb had it at 137th.
Really?
With an 8 out of 10 rating.
With a largely favorable rating. IMDb is silly.
Well, you're going to have, you got to have some good episodes and you got to have some bad episodes.
And they're all 8+.
Not all, but.
No, we talked about it. There's like 4 7 out of 10 episodes.
Yep. People love Seinfeld. What can I say?
What do?
You read the Netflix synopsis, or you throw it back to last week, or you...
Hey, yeah, let's throw it back to last week when I asked you if you remembered this episode.
Kramer falls for Jerry's girl.
Well?
How'd I do?
I think you nailed it. Here we go. George spies on a foundation board meeting with his briefcase. Kramer falls for Jerry's girlfriend. Elaine dates a man who doesn't want children. So who are the guest stars?
So, two guest stars that I looked up. We had Tim DeKay, who played Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
He was in a TV show called White Collar. He was in a dozen or so episodes of Party of Five. And he was on the TV show Carnival.
Oh.
Did you ever watch?
No.
Somebody gave me the DVDs because they thought I'd like it, and I never watched it.
Well, you don't know if you'll like it or not. Was it about a carnival?
It was about like a freak showy thing.
Oh.
I think those DVDs are right on the shelf over there.
All right, next week we'll give you a review of Carnival.
We also had Kim Myers, who played Pam.
Pam.
She was on A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, Hellraiser Bloodline, and a TV show called Key West.
Sort of vastly different credits.
I thought that she kind of looked like a young Martha Stewart.
I thought she sort of looked like Meryl Streep.
Also, those ladies all look the same, don't they? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Meryl Streep? Yeah, that one. Not Martha Stewart.
So I gotta say, when we started watching this episode, my pen ran out really early, and you were waiting for me, so I couldn't find like another Uniball roller pen, so I grabbed this Bic Round Stic.
How'd you like it?
I gotta say, I really liked it.
Oh.
It just, the words just roll out of the pen, like no pressure, no effort required.
You seemed very upset that you were being brought down and had to use a...
This is like the grade 4 pen, like when you earn a pen for your handwriting.
I believe you picked it up and you said, where the hell did this come from?
Yeah, and I really like it.
No, we can stop buying $25 pens now.
$3 pens.
Whatever.
And go down to $1 pens.
Yeah.
Anywho, another thing that's a pleasure to use.
Nail clippers.
So, why did George say, I love prison? Maybe someday. Does he just want someone to take control of his life and feed him, and he doesn't have to work or think about anything? I'm sure he has a very white 90s view of prison.
Oh, yeah, sure. He's thinking of like a Scandinavian prison.
You get your squares.
Has an executive golf course. I'd kind of forgotten about this opening scene, and then when I was, after the episode, I was reading something about it. This whole opening scene was kind of bonkers. Like, why are they in a car?
We don't know where they're going.
They don't end up anywhere.
Nope.
They're talking about cutting nails and chewing on fingernails.
The fingernail thing comes up later. They say George's nails look like they've been chewed on by a weevil, which is a bug, right?
A vole?
A weevil.
A weevil?
They said weevil.
Weevil.
A very small vole.
Yeah. So, I mean, spoiler alert, could this be a foreshadowing?
Oh.
But I think it's too far ahead for that to be the case.
I broke my tooth chewing my nails?
I did not know that.
You definitely knew that. Christmas Eve, 2019, I was biting my nails at work, and I thought I spit out, like a nail bit into my hand to throw it away. And then I ran my tongue over my teeth, and it was a piece of my tooth that had come off.
Here you have strong nails or weak teeth.
I think I have very strong nails.
Hmm.
But it was I think it was the day before Christmas Eve. But then I have this raw, jagged, broken tooth. And thankfully I could go to the dentist the next day and they fixed it for me.
I hate biting my nails. I hate everything about it.
I don't bite my nails. I bite my cuticles.
You do, yeah.
But then I was...
all the time.
I was biting my thumbnail. And I have nice, strong nails.
I absolutely hate biting my nails. I hate how it makes. I hate how it feels in my mouth. I hate how it feels on my fingers.
Okay, well, I'm glad nobody makes you do it.
Yeah. I also hate those nail files.
No,
I like those. Oh yeah,
You don't like dragging sandpaper across your fingers?
No, it's like sending vibrations up my bones.
You would hate the glass nail file I have because that's very nails on a chalkboard feeling because it's not super gritty.
Yeah.
But it gives resistance. It's not very pleasant.
Mm.
But when you cut your nails, the nail clippers, they mangle them. They give them a sharp edge.
Right angle edge.
Doesn't that bother you?
No, it's perfect. What I do like to do is do it at night and then you fall asleep and then in the morning your nails have grown just like a micron.
What the hell are you talking about?
And it's totally fine.
Well, you've cut the end and they've grown from the back. So how did...
I don't know what I'm doing in my sleep, but they seem to buff out a little bit.
So you're scratching me.
Do your nails not grow?
Where do you think your nails... Where do you think your hair grows from? You've seen that TikTok, right?
I'm talking about nails, Katy.
The other keratinized dead stuff on your body.
Mm.
Where do you think your nails grow from?
My fingers.
Jesus.
Or my toes. So George has to come up with a poem about Susan.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel for George in this situation.
Uh-huh.
This whole foundation thing. It's a whole bunch of extra work that he doesn't want to do.
Yep. Plus, they all think he murdered her.
Yeah.
Are they asking who his favorite poet is? And he's saying Fladden. I like Martin.
Yeah. So they wanted him to pick a poem for, I don't know, a book or something. Yeah. So they're just like, oh, who's your favorite poet?
I wasn't really listening because I was marveling at how well this pen was writing.
Right.
So I wrote flatum. I didn't know what that was.
That's one of those like pompous questions. Oh, like who's your favorite poet?
Who's your favorite poet?
Bukowski.
He's a poet?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
He wrote a book of poems. What does it take to be a poet?
I don't have a favorite poet because I don't enjoy poetry. My favorite poet is Dan O'Brien, Jessica St. Clair's husband. I've not read his poems. I don't think I ever will. But he is a poet. He's my favorite.
You have an interesting criteria for choosing your favorite.
He's a poet, and he's my favorite one.
Okie dokie. Doesn't he have a sex column?
You're thinking of Dan Savage?
Oh, not Dan O'Brien.
I bet some of what Dan Savage has written could be considered poetry. GGG. Do you know how stupid I am?
GGG?
I watched an Instagram video and this girl had like goth makeup on and fake facial tattoos. And I was like, why does she have GGG written on her face? And it was 666. Good giving in game.
I see.
Clearly, you don't know
what
what
a
GG.
Weekly Dan Savage reader.
What did you do as a teenager if not read what Dan Savage column in the back of Exclaim magazine or newspaper?
There was a website that he was on. Was it the AV Club?
I don't
know. Onion AV Club?
Maybe.
Which is, I think, where I read it. And the only thing I remember from that is when he answered the question about whether or not you're...
Yes?
No. Do you think you're...
to beep all of this out.
Yeah. Just play the elevator music over the last 45 seconds.
Good Lord.
The only thing I remember.
Yeah. Well, where do you think I learned? I read it in the newspaper.
That column should get more wide distribution.
So Wink, what's his name? Wick, cleared his throat. George thinks of it as a nonverbal implication of doubt.
The time of her unfortunate accident.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Like, I understand for the purposes of this episode why it's funny, or like why you would think George killed Susan. But I mean, he lost so much, right? Like,
yeah. Also, her parents don't think that he killed her. Isn't that enough? Or do they?
Well, how much does Wick talk to her parents?
No, but like if you're running a foundation and the spouse of the person who's died is involved in the foundation, first of all, why would he be involved if he killed her? Wouldn't he want to distance himself from... And he's literally not gaining anything personally from it, except spending all this time.
Yeah.
So that tells me that he couldn't possibly have killed her because he lost everything. And her parents love him still. So, well, whatever. What's with all these people having babies?
But because it comes out of your baby, it smells good.
What the f***?
It was one of the lions.
I know!
Oh, yeah, okay.
Elaine, you gotta have a baby.
When are you going to move out to Long Island?
Yeah, move to Long Island and have a baby already, her friend says to her.
Oh, she's getting older.
So, I mean, maybe it's just the times that we live in now. But we have a child.
Mm-hmm.
This is something we wanted, and we're happy with this decision. We would never talk to our friends who don't have kids and be like, when are you gonna have a who would do that?
So presumably this is the first time that they've met in a while, right? And so it's like, oh, let's share news. And she's like, oh, let me show you pictures of my kid. They've grown. And Elaine is like, I am now running a company.
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, she
like,
chooses to talk about the whitefish.
She does choose to talk about the whitefish, but her life news is I have been promoted to run the J. Peterman company.
Yeah.
And they're like, you should move to the suburbs and have a baby.
Sexism.
So Elaine was telling me about this piece of whitefish she had the other day.
So this briefcase in the meeting thing, they said it was a Jerry Lewis bit. I read somewhere that Tiffany Haddish did this.
Oh, yeah?
Like quote unquote accidentally left her cell phone in a meeting and heard people saying all kinds of terrible things about her when she left the room.
Who's Tiffany Haddish?
She was on the after party. She was a detective.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Good actress. And I forget what thing that she was like reading for or auditioning for. But just like she leaves the room, shuts the door, and then they immediately start talking her.
So what you can do is go into accessibility features and you can get your phone's microphone to like pick it up and stream it to your Bluetooth headphones.
Oh, you can just, okay.
It's like you could find out in real time what's going on. Just like leave your cell phone somewhere.
George goes down and bites his nails on the street for a few minutes and then comes back.
I feel like it must have been more than 5 minutes.
You know, one of the reasons I like this episode is that for the first part where we see Kramer, he's entirely silent.
Oh, yeah. There's not a lot of physical Kramer comedy in this one.
No, there's just Newman tripping over him a couple times, which is like just enough.
Like, I know you're not a fan of the PKC, so I thought you might like this one.
What's the PKC?
Physical Kramer comedy.
No, not really. And I don't want to give the impression that I don't like physical comedy. You know, I said I hated the Bugs Bunny chase scene. But you're right, I don't really like the PKC. But this was just a little soupçon. Okay, so what's Cyrano de Bergerac all about? And like, is this a book? I've not read it.
It is a book. It's a very famous book about a man who has a very large nose.
Did you have to read this in French immersion or something?
No, I probably saw, so there was a movie in the 80s starring Steve Martin, which was a modernized retelling of Cyrano called Roxanne. More recently, there's been a retelling with Peter Dinklage, and he's short instead of having a nose.
I know he is short.
So the premise is like you have a ugly guy that can like talk really well, and then he like whispers like things to his friend who's in love with this woman, and he gets the woman. So like so you had this homage of Kramer doing that with Newman.
Well, you learn something every day. You expect me to see a movie from the 80s?
No, I expect you to know what Cyrano de Bergerac is.
Say it in your accent again.
Cyrano de Bergerac.
Ooh la la. Is Cyrano the one with the big nose?
Yeah.
Okay. I wrote down, why do you invite these women over if you dislike them so much? And I feel like...
Well, they're my friends.
I feel like you've said that to me.
You don't hang out with the friends you don't like as much as you used to.
Uh-huh.
I don't imagine that they listen to this podcast.
No, I don't imagine they do. But I have collected some odd friends over the years. Again, nobody who's listening now. You're all the friends I like.
Do you think like that's a woman stereotypically? I'm thinking of other examples of that in my life, and I think it's a woman thing to like. When's
the last time you hung out socially with anybody you knew?
I don't leave the house.
Yeah, so I think stereotypically women are just more social, and so you're like, well, let's do lunch, I guess, and I hope that our friend who I just had lunch with doesn't think I'm talking about her. She also got me this shirt.
You're wearing an importer-exporter Vandalay latex and latex-related goods Vandalay Industries t-shirt.
This is a really nice t-shirt.
It's quick dry.
I think so. Nice printing. I think I have gotten better over the years at not doing things I don't want to do. So if there are acquaintances that frustrate and annoy me, I don't feel any obligation to hang out with them anymore.
I just had a realization that if guys don't hang out with friends that they don't like, and I haven't hung out with anybody in a really long time. Moving on. So Elaine doesn't want to have kids, and this intrigues Kevin, who she meets on the street at a magazine stand.
Look at my new friend Kevin. What an odd thing she says to Kramer.
Yeah, we both kind of looked at each other.
So Kevin is he rushes headlong into things. He also didn't want to have kids.
Kevin kind of seems to me like a human golden retriever.
Yeah. He also has sort of golden hair and like big eyes.
Yeah.
But I guess this storyline is like noteworthy for the 90s for anybody who's heterosexual to not want kids.
Procreation of the species.
I did like when Jerry goes, "What do you have to look forward to? A barren, sterile existence that ends when you die?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he and Elaine start dating, and he basically gets a vasectomy the next day. And then she has doubts.
Nothing's 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he didn't look like he was in recovery.
Oh, come on. Put a bag of frozen peas on your crotch and you're good in an hour.
Don't think that's the case.
He wasn't wearing the special underwear.
He wasn't wearing special underwear. Although he probably didn't go and see Dr. Weiss, so maybe Dr. Weiss's patented no scalpel technique is different than whatever.
You saying Dr. Weiss's work is not as good as the guy that Kevin went to?
I don't know.
I don't know. I've heard that Dr. Weiss is A+.
He retired.
I wonder who took over for him.
Some other guy.
We always assume it's going to be a guy. Do any female doctors do vasectomies?
I don't know.
Or do you have to have them to understand? That's why there's
possibly.
no male OBGYNs.
I thought there were male.
Yeah, there are a lot.
Yeah.
Well, they just know better, right?
Because they're men or because they're more interested in vaginas?
Because they're men.
Oh, yeah.
Do I smell Pantene?
Do I smell? Pantene.
At the bookstore, did you see behind her they have those DK books? There's the Ultimate Visual Dictionary.
Oh, no.
And I noticed an Ultimate Spy book that looked really cool. Those were the best books in the library.
The only thing I really noticed standing out at the bookstore was when Jerry comes to talk to Pam and say, like, I'm really into this relationship. And she gives him like the, oh, that's nice, whatever. She turns around and stares at a wall that is about 6 inches away from her face for about 3 minutes.
He's got to see the velvet scrunchie. I did laugh when George brings his little diorama and Jerry says, the M&M should be you.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to write M&M. M''N''M?
No, it's M''M.
Oh. Okay. I can't draw an ampersand.
I do like how George was, took the day off work to build this.
The 4 Barbies, M&M, and a shoebox.
I think there was a Power Ranger in there too.
Was that a Power Ranger? I thought it was the Flash.
No, I think it was a Power Ranger.
So, does Elaine cut her hair just to come full circle on the impulsiveness thing.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, I know she was referencing a previous episode when she had straight hair.
Yeah.
Which you liked.
Sure. I like Elaine's hair. It's good. Good hair.
Yeah. But then I was like, is she...
She got great calves, too.
She could bring home the bacon and fry it in a pan. No, we're getting off topic. That's Pam. I thought maybe Julia Louis-Dreyfus was setting up Elaine to have different hair because she was going to have different hair, like, for another role or something. But no, she just has a terrible short wig for the rest of this episode.
It's just a wig. Spoiler alert.
It makes her head look gigantic.
I mean, it's not a good wig. Like, she has a lot of hair that you have to fit under that tiny wig.
Yeah. And then everyone's at the vasectomy place.
Do you think men getting a vasectomy makes them more attractive to women? Like, is this a real thing?
Who don't want kids? I mean, they're taking control of their
reproductive health?
Yeah. And the responsibility for birth control.
Sure, yeah.
That's attractive. Yeah, and the George briefcase thing wraps up. Someone dropped a chair on it.
Metallic squink and a galonk.
No, there was a low rumble.
Low rumble.
Metallic squink and a baffling galonk. That's kind of all I had.
Yep.
Now that I've talked about it, I don't know if I like this episode. I feel like maybe I'm like retconning it in my mind, but I feel like without Larry David, the show is just a little sillier.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And less funny.
I mean the criticism, the line on seasons 8 and 9 are it gets sillier and probably less dark.
Yeah. Well, Larry Charles isn't there anymore, right?
I think Larry Charles is still there.
Like, he wrote the darkest jokes
and
episodes for sure.
I don't know when Larry Charles left. What was really interesting was recently I rewatched all of Curb Your Enthusiasm and seeing...
I watched a lot of it too. Give me some credit. But
like seeing Peter Melman and Jeff Schaefer and Larry Charles and, all of these like names that I now know were like working on Seinfeld, and then Larry David was just like, "Hey, I got another show. Let's all do that." He missed working with his friends.
It's nice. It's nice. At the end, there's a tribute to Victor Wayne Harris.
Yep.
Who was a prop master on Seinfeld. During the credits, I've never noticed that the editor's name is Skip Collector. Skip Collector is his real name. He's an Emmy-winning editor. He worked on Seinfeld, It's Always Sunny, Golden Girls, and a whole bunch of other stuff.
I was going to ask if you were sure that the Skip Collector's name wasn't the editor.
What?
So what's on tap for next week?
Bizarro Jerry.
Oh, yeah. Elaine starts hanging out with friends that remind her of the gang, but they're all slightly different.
We had no corrections. We were flawless. There was one, but I forgot to print it out, so...
It's lost to the sands of time.
Well...
See you next week.
Goodbye.
Believe it or not, this is our podcast. Please subscribe at the end. If you subscribed, we would be happy. Please subscribe to us. Believe it or not, it's our podcast.
Is that a Seinfeld reference?